Okay, so we're going to start off with where we left off with our notes yesterday. And I'm going to try it this way for those of you guys who need a little extra time. If I go too fast or too slow, this way, if you need more time, you can pause the video and make sure that you catch up, or you can rewind it. Okay, so we're going to start with looking at a problem where we multiply a binomial times a trinomial. And I believe that you did this in Math 2, so we'll just do a quick review. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to take this first term and you're going to distribute it to every term over here, okay? So you're just multiplying here, here, and here. Okay, so just think distributive property. Okay, so x times x squared will give me x cubed. Then x times positive 5x is a positive 5x squared. Okay, x times negative 1 is negative x. Okay, now I'm going to distribute the 3 the same way. I just distribute it through to every single term. So 3 times x squared is positive 3x squared. A positive 3 times a positive 5x is a positive 15x. And a positive 3 times a negative 1 is a negative 3. Okay, I never want to see like a plus minus or anything like that in there. Okay, you always take care of the signs right when you distribute. Okay, so now let's collect our like terms. Always go in order of the highest exponent. So I have an x cubed, so I got rid of that. I've got a 5x squared and a 3x squared, so that gives me 8x squared. Okay, a negative 1x plus a positive 15x, or just think 15x minus 1x, is a positive 14x. Okay, and then we're left with a negative 3. And it's simplified. Notice I didn't solve anything. There's no equal sign, so if there was an equal sign, I would have to try to solve it by factoring, but there's not. Okay, let's look at if we have something like this. Okay, so here I'm just going to distribute and collect like terms. So I've got 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. Okay, now with this right here, you got to be careful. This is a negative 3x. So a negative 3x times a positive x is a negative 3x squared. A negative 3x times a positive 8 is a negative 24x. And if I combine like terms, I've got 2x squared minus 3x squared is a negative x squared. A negative 6x and a negative 24x, signs are the same, add and keep the sign. And there is my answer. Okay. All right, now let's look at if we have to multiply 3 binomials together. And this comes up every now and then. It's kind of a drag, it's a lot of work, but I want you to think of something easy. So, and how it would work. So let's say I have 2 times 3 times 4. Okay, so notice I'm not distributing that 2 to the 3 and the 4. There's no plus sign in there. So I could go 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, just so that you can see. I could have just brought down the 2 and then said 3 times 4 is 12. And then 2 times 12 is 24. I could have also said, well, I'm going to multiply the 2 and the 4 first. Okay, well, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So see how it doesn't matter the order when we multiply. So when I look at these right here, I just have to pick 2 of them to work on first. So I'm going to pick the second 2 to work on first, kind of like how we did this problem. So this is what I'm going to multiply. So I'm just going to bring down that x plus 1. Okay, so now I'm going to go x times x is x squared. And I have to keep it multiplied, okay, just like I did right here, how that was a times. Okay, now I want you to try to start getting this middle term in your head without writing it down. Okay, so notice we did x times x is x squared plus 2x minus 3x is minus x. A minus 3 times a positive 2. Okay, so if you can start doing that in your head, that's preferred. Now, if you're going, wait, what did you just do? Okay, so what I did is I did x times x is x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 6. So in my head, I added these 2 terms to get me that. Okay, so that's a good habit. Okay, so hopefully you can see why right now I chose to do these first. I always prefer this when I'm multiplying to be smaller. So this is a binomial times a trinomial. I could have done these 2 first, and then I would have had a trinomial times a binomial. It doesn't matter. It's just, in my mind, it's easier just to just to distribute 2 times as opposed to having the trinomial first. Okay, so I'm going to go x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative x is negative x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. Okay, I'm going to show you another thing that I do when I have like a lot of terms. So I could just now distribute the 1 and just keep on going on this line, and some people prefer that. I like to start when they're bigger than just a binomial times a binomial. I like to start lining up my like terms as I go. So I'm going to go 1 times x squared is x squared, and I'm going to put it right under its like term. 1 times negative x is negative x. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. So that didn't have another like term, so I just kind of moved it over. And then they're just all lined up for me, and I'm going to add them. So there's my x cubed. Those go away. Signs are the same. Add, keep the sign, and bring that down. And there's my answer. Okay, so if you're more comfortable with just writing it out in a big old long line, go ahead and do that. If you would like to start lining up your like terms, it can save you some time. Okay, so now let's look at taking a binomial to a power. And this is where I see the most mistakes in higher level classes. So I'm going to give that a star, and I'm going to highlight this because lots of mistakes come up in this problem. We talked about it a little bit at the very beginning of 4.1, but now we're going to make it official. Okay, so this is a binomial squared. And remember, we talked about a couple of days ago, we said a binomial squared, it is not x squared plus y squared. Okay, you could only apply that 2 to everything inside of here if it was a monomial, but not to a binomial. So what you have to do in this case is you have to write x plus y times x plus y. And then now I go x times x is x squared. X times y, so I'm going to do this in my head. X times y is xy. Y times x is xy. So that gives me 2 xy's. y times y is y squared. Okay, again, you could do it the long way. X squared plus xy. Now here when I do y times x, I don't write it as yx. I always write it in alphabetical order because that helps me know my like terms a lot easier. So all I did, again, was I did this right in here, this xy plus xy. I did that in my head and did that. So I don't have to, it kind of just saves me a step. Okay, so notice that squaring a binomial, this is definitely not equal to that. Okay, let's say that we had something like x plus y, or let's put a minus in here. Let's make it a little more fun. Cubed. Okay, so there's a binomial cubed. So again, that is not x cubed minus y cubed. You have to go x minus y times x minus y times x minus y. So then it becomes like that problem that we did up here, where you've got to pick two of them to do first. So I'm going to pick the last two. So I'm going to bring down my x minus y. Okay, x times x is x squared. X times negative y is negative xy. Negative y times x is negative xy. So I have two of those. A negative y times a negative y is a positive y squared. Okay, so now I got to take my monomial times my trinomial. Okay, so I'm just going to multiply this by everything and this negative y by everything. Okay, so x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2xy is negative 2x squared y. X times positive y squared is xy squared. Okay, now I got to multiply everything by a negative y. And if there's any like terms, I'm going to try to line them up. Okay, so this, a negative y times x squared would be negative x squared y. So negative x squared y. A negative y times a negative 2xy squared would be a positive 2xy squared. Okay, a negative y times a positive y cubed, or excuse me, y squared is a negative y cubed. So I have all my like terms lined up. So I have x cubed. Signs are the same. Remember, it's implied that there's a little 1 there. So that's minus 3x squared y. Okay, like a little 1 right here. So I've got plus 3xy squared minus y cubed. Ooh, that is a drag. Oops, there we go. Alrighty, lots of fun.